Radar, good morning, Go Copter 9396, request startup and takeoff at Sprossen Airport.
Lego Copter 9396 is München Radar, your startup is approved, cleared takeoff at own discretion from Sprossen Airport and watch out for glider traffic in the area.
München Radar, Lego Copter 9396, we're ready for takeoff and flying to Schmölln Hospital now.
Lego Copter 9396, München Radar, you're cleared takeoff at own discretion and cleared to Schmölln Hospital. Watch out for glider traffic in the area.
Thank you, have a good day.
You too.
Unsere 1001 für unsere 1224 kommen.
Unsere 1001 hört.
Haben die verletzte Person auf dem Inselberg gefunden. Die Bergung ist nur mit der Rettungshubschrauber möglich.
Unsere 1001, wir haben verstanden, leiten Rettungsmaßnahmen ein.
Lego Copter 9396 für Burgenlandkontrollstelle, bitte kommen.
Burgenlandkontrollstelle, Lego Copter LT 9396 hört.
Wir haben eine verletzte Person auf dem Inselberg zur Bergung und Überführung ins Krankenhaus Schmölln.
Ja, Lego Copter 9396, das ist verstanden, wir sind auf dem Weg.
Nein, okay. Ja, ich habe die Person in Sicht. Person ist gesichtet. Wir können mit Antwort beginnen.
Ja, die Personen kommen jetzt vorne rein. Hast du sie in Sicht?
Ja, schön langsam. Kommen genau richtig.
Jawohl, ich schwebe jetzt.
Okay, ich habe ihn im Gurt.
Jawohl, sagst Bescheid, Person gesichert?
Person jetzt gesichert. Wir können.
Wunderbar, Abflug. Danke dir. Ah, da vorne stehen sie ja wieder, die drei. Stehen ja jedes Mal hier.
Wink mal rüber.
Jo, wink mal.
this was actually going to be my 100 subscriber special. But now I'm almost at 300. Glory! So I really enjoyed building this gun. It's designed by L Forces, and I bought the instructions from them and ordered the parts from Bricklink. And I think you should buy the instructions from them too, so that's why I'm not showing you the full build video. When you buy this gun, you can put the mag in before you have the firing pin in the right position, or else you're gonna have a broken gun. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!
Hi, I'm Florian. I'm a Lego designer and I worked on the Lego Adidas Original Superstar. So, in the box you get the Lego Adidas Superstar, which comes with a nice stand and first time of all a shoelace, which is a very new element we put in there. And you can build the shoe from the right side, but we also included additional pieces. So if you're up for a nice challenge, you can get the additional building instructions online and build the left side of the shoe. So the shoe is something we really took care to reproduce the exact features of a real shoe. We wanted to have the option that you can open it up slightly like a real shoe, fold up the tongue, have a nice look inside, and then you close the shoe like a real shoe and lace it up. We have made 4 stages of the build. First of all, you build the sole, and then second, you build the heel that you click on the sole, and then next up, you build the left and the right flap of the shoe that you also click on, and the shell toe, and then the tongue that gets put onto as a last step and then folds all together nicely. And as the finishing touch, you put on the shoelace. So we have made a very special box for this shoe, something we never did before. It's actually a real shoe box in form and size, and we really wanted to give it the impression of containing a real shoe, but then with a kind of a twist in design. And the team put a lot of effort in there to make it work with the Lego bricks in there, but then also giving that same feeling that you unbox a shoe, but still with Lego bricks inside and having a very nice wrap for that. I think the biggest challenge that we had with this product was we never did a shoe before. So what's the angle you take on that? And how do you reproduce that with totally static, mostly square bricks? So that was kind of a challenge to try to translate that organic shape into bricks, but then also make it a good building experience and then make it also sturdy so that you can still move parts on it. It needs to be flexible when you put the shoelace in, because some people may pull it harder, some people may pull it lower. So to have all these criteria in there, I think that was one of the biggest challenge. We actually had the opportunity to get in contact with the Adidas Original design team in the US, and it was super good to get the insights and the perspectives they have when they're designing a shoe, and what are the key points and key aspects to look out for to recreate these iconic designs. We have 2 new elements that are very interesting to mention, I think. One of it is the 5x5 new dome element that we use for the shell toe in the front, and it has in this case printed lines on it, but it will probably be seen in the future in more sets to come. And I think it's a great element, especially for our builders out there, to create very nice structures, nice organic shapes, building domes, all kind of these things. And then we have the shoelace, and the shoelace is something we never did before, totally fresh, and I'm already very curious to see what our fans will build and create with that interesting part of the shoe. So all of the decorative elements are actually printed, and it starts with the very nice golden tip that you see on the tongue of the shoe, and then when you look in the inside you actually see also the branding in the inside, and then on the heel on the back you have the nice Adidas logo with the Adidas font, and then also in gold on the side you will see the Superstar brand. So when the cooperation with Adidas started, it was kind of obvious that I will take on it, as I'm wearing the Superstars since ever. I think I started wearing them when I was 16 years old. Growing up in the 90s, it was just such an iconic shoe. Everybody was wearing it. I can remember people modding the shoe, putting the big laces on there in a lot of vibrant colors. So I think doing the shoe with also the option that you can keep the laces off is a very nice homage to that time and the music related to that. So I think the coolest part that we achieved with this product was actually we managed to get this very complicated organic product translated into the Lego system and the Lego DNA. I think that was definitely the thing we are in the end the most proud of. For everyone who wants to become a Lego designer, I would always say keep on building and be passionate. I think that's the thing that drives the most of us here.